Hancock.
Yeah, I think if we had another chair, he'd been over here. I believe.
Oh,
He's
my
right
gosh. Oh, my gosh. So we'll re-rack that full 30-minute conversation for you at another time. I don't even know where to start. How about how days 2 started, shall we? It was John McDade, who is the coordinator of SEC officials. He, he went through the new rule changes.
The third rule change is the one that everyone's talking about, and that is that we will no longer stop a clock except for under 2 minutes in each half when we have a first down inbounds. And we do have first downs out of bounds. We still will stop the clock there because the play ended out of bounds, and we'll start when the ball's ready for play back out at the succeeding spot. We don't do that, obviously, under 2 minutes. This basically duplicates the rule that we see in the National Football League. The committee discussed other changes to the timing rules for the purposes of driving down the number of plays per game. This is the only one that they adopted. There were several reasons for that, but one of the more compelling reasons is I'll use the analogy of a doctor prescribing medication. The doctor doesn't want to prescribe too much medication right out of the gate, because if there's a change in the patient, you don't know which medication is attributed to what. So we have this rule change for this year. We're going to see what effect it has on our game from an overall number of plays. Obviously, if you decrease the number of plays, you're probably also going to drive down the game time. But the impetus for this rule change was to address the number of plays in our game.
So the number of plays in the game, now keep that in mind, as that was said over and over by John this morning talking with the media. He went on about another new rule.
We used to have rules that said if we had a foul that occurred during a play where time expired at the end of a quarter, and the penalty for that foul was accepted, we would extend that quarter for an untimed down before we changed to go to the next quarter. We're no longer going to do that for the first and third quarters. We're just going to, if we accept the penalty, we're going to flip the field, enforce it, and then go from there.
So that is John McDade from earlier today. Auburn was featured today as well. I am trying my best. I'm trying all of my focus to stay on in front of me as Radio Row is hopping right down the road, right in front of me here on Radio Row. Here is a little bit more summary-wise from John McDade on his crews, a total of 9 SEC crews.
We have 9 crews in the SEC on field and replay. It's approximately 100 officials. We had 5 of our officials, 4 on field and 1 replay, be asked to join the National Football League this past off season. So we have new officials in their place. We also had 2 officials. We had 5 officials that retired, 3 on the field and 2 in the replay booth. So there's a number of new faces that we have on the field. No real major recalibrations on our judgments year over year. No major rule changes. The one rule change with the timing doesn't really affect how we officiate the game. We just need to remember to not stop the clock if it's first down and bounds outside of 2 minutes in each half. Our clinic is next week in Birmingham. We'll hammer the fundamentals. We'll talk about these evolving parts of the game that I showed you here, with the expectation of trying to get everyone on the same page, that their frameworks of judgment, their mechanics, their standards are all similar, so that we can create the consistency that the coaches are looking for. It's great to see everyone here today, and I wish you a very rewarding 2023 football season.
That is John McDade from earlier today to start off day 2 of SEC Media Days, and just interesting to hear from the officials' perspective on speeding up the game, number of plays, game duration was also a point of emphasis as well.
For the purposes of looking at game duration in game time, but more importantly, game duration in the number of plays. This committee was made up of athletic administrators. There were some commissioners, athletic directors, other athletic administration types on the panel. Representation from the coaches from AFCA, Mr. Todd Berry, and there were some individuals related to FBS officiating that were on this committee. And the study they did is informed the Playing Rules Committee on what they eventually came up with were timing rule differences. I do want to underscore this. There is not concern about game times averaging 321. There is concern for game times that are 345 and greater. Similarly, there's not necessarily concern for games that average 180 plays a game. There is concern for games that have 200 plus plays per game. And there is a number of them each and every year in each and every conference.
So that kind of clears the air a little bit more, Wes, on this speeding up the game is not just for the clock itself. It is indeed to reduce the number of plays in a college football game.
So we can play more games? I mean, it's all about money. It's always, just seriously. I mean,
somehow 321 is not a problem, but 345 is a problem.
Yeah, this is all for, they can frame it anywhere they want to. They'll never convince me they did it for the benefit of the player.
They did it for the benefit of
them,
their wallet.
Right, no question.
Hugh Freeze was front and center earlier today here at SEC Media Days. Just want to play a portion of that as we're about to welcome in Tony Barnhart here on Radio Row. But here is the first-year Auburn head football coach.
Schedule that we have, even though we might have some deficiencies at some places, hopefully we can overcome those with culture and leadership and desire. And so excited to get it started. We've got a lot of questions about exactly how we're going to be, and truthfully, I don't know all the answers to that yet. This is a strange feeling in some ways for me. I've never experienced going into fall camp and having so many unknowns in my mind, whether that's because of the new world of you gained some of your roster from transfer portal world, or you gained it even after spring practice through the portal world, and obviously then summer enrollees come. So there's a lot of things that I'm not quite certain about also, but excited about the opportunity to get to know our team even better. Love our staff, love the work they've put in recruiting and in trying to improve our roster, and really, really excited about the opportunity to represent Auburn this fall and our great fan base. We've been welcomed, Jill and I and our three daughters and their husbands. We could not have asked for a better welcoming to the Plains. What a great place it is to live. And we're excited about putting our roots down there and building this program back to what it's been. It's been only one of 6 programs to play for 2 national championships in the last 13 years. And we want to return to that. And so we're excited, thankful for this opportunity, obviously, to be back in what I think is the greatest program, the greatest conference in college football, representing one of the greatest programs that I think is in college football.
In front of me here on the aisle.
Hugh, JoeGoodmanAL.com. I've been told by coaches in the game that no one is better at second half adjustments in college football than you are. I was wondering, how do you approach that, and what are your keys to success there? And then I have a follow-up.
Well, what coach said that? I hope was it Coach Saban? That would be nice to come from him. I do think we've been very good at that through the years. We typically have been able to come out and have good adjustments. Truthfully, I always hold a few things till the second half. I don't know if that's wise, that I think are going to be good, but I've instructed our staff, let's kind of hold on that until the second half. But I don't know. I lean on our coaches a lot. It's not just me. It's us getting in and everybody saying this is exactly what we're getting on second down. This is exactly what we're getting on first down. And then you being wise enough to use the analytics that you have to say, coaches are creatures of habits, and if this is what they've done on every second and long, then what is our best call? And that should be the first call we make, the next second and long we get. So, I mean, that's not some mystery, or I'm sure other coaches do the same thing. But I don't know. I make my O-line coach change his clothes at halftime if we're not doing well. I don't know if that helps, but I do. I mean, Matt Luke started that for me, truthfully. We were losing our first game at Ole Miss to a 1AA opponent, and it wasn't going well, and he changed all of his clothes, and we rolled up a bunch of numbers the second half, and that from that point on, our entire 5 years together, Matt knew he had to change clothes at halftime if things weren't going well.
There's a reason I wanted to play that.
Yeah, because of my aunts. If Alabama was losing at halftime, we had to take all our clothes and turn them inside out and put them back on.
That's exactly why I was teeing you up for that. That's exactly
brought back memories.
Oh my gosh.
Most athletes are very superstitious. Not a little superstitious, very. I mean, you get dressed the same, because you never know when you're going to get hurt, this or that, and you're just thinking that anything you get an edge.
We are live here on Radio Row, and we just got through playing a little bit of Hugh Freeze. Did not realize Matt Luke changed clothes.
I love that story.
Yeah.
That is a great, and particularly the new offensive line coach is about to learn there's part of his halftime routine coming up that he's not aware of.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, goodness. Most superstitious coach you've covered is who?
Probably Spurrier. He was all. There was always something going. Spurrier was always the guy when you sit down with him. He said, "I'd say something about an article that somebody had written." He said, "Yeah, I think I got that right here. Let's look around." He turned around, he had a little file there, plucked it right out, and he knew exactly where it was.
All these coaches are superstitious, though.
By definition, coaches are superstitious.
Superstitious
They're
and
absolutely
paranoid.
they're absolutely convinced if they let reporters come to their their practices, the world will come to an end as they know it.
Yeah.
They're absolutely convinced of that. So
Probably for a lot of it's for good reason. Normally,
Did this start with George Allen, or is this well before George Allen?
Man, they've been watching. Well, people have been watching other people practice forever. Any kind of edge they think they can get. Back in the day, it's illegal.
Well, half
now.
of them don't know what they're looking at. They have no idea what's going on in practice. So, I will say this: I've only been thrown out of one practice in my life, and doing this for 46 years or whatever it is. When I was a student at the University of Georgia on the student newspaper, Georgia went to the Cotton Bowl to play Arkansas in 1975. And me, young hotshot journalist, and student reporter. I went down to their practice. They were working out at the Cotton Bowl, and Frank Burles walked up to me and said, "Son, who are you?" I said, "Well, Coach, I'm Tony Barnhart from the Red Black at the University of Georgia." He says, "Son, you need to move along." "Yes, sir." And we looked around and said, "Where's Vince?" Talking about Coach Dooley, and Coach Dooley was nowhere to be found. So.
How superstitious was Vince Dooley?
Coach Dooley was far too rational and a deep thinker. He has a master's in history. Okay, I mean he's very intellectual. He would think something superstitious. But I tell you what did drive him crazy. He would meet with Larry Munson on the morning of a game.
Well, Larry's so positive.
And Coach Dooley would say, I would always meet with Larry to give him some insight, for the game and all that. He said, I would walk into the meeting with Larry, feeling pretty good about things. We had prepared where. By the time I left, I was convinced we had no chance to win.
Yeah, that's Larry.
I'd like to hear a tape of that conversation.
Oh, my gosh.
So I remember vividly as a child going to Alabama games with my father, and we always listened to Georgia on the way home. I don't know why they always played at night, but they did.
Well, that's because they were on WSB radio, 750, which was a clear channel. You could hear it everywhere in the country. And so if you were driving home, you could turn on 7:50 a.m. and get Munson. And says, the clock refuses to move. It just won't move. Oh.
Still, one of my favorite things that I had a chance to do, and I wish I would have kept copies of them, right after Bulldog Hotline on Sunday nights, he would record Inside on Sports. And it would be this 2-minute report called Inside on Sports that would air during Atlanta's morning news at 6:28 in the morning. And it would never be about sports.
That's right.
It would never be about sports. There was one time he talked about going on a hunting trip and firing off the shotgun inside the cabin with his former father-in-law and the dog pooping everywhere.
that's better than any story anybody could tell.
Yeah.
When I did the book with Larry, when I did the book with Larry, I mean, my background in journalism and all that, I would dutifully prepare this list of topics that we would go over and say, okay, Larry, this is what we're going to cover today, and we're going to get through this. And he finally looked at you. Did I ever tell you when I played with a band who had a lead singer, female named Eugenie Baird? And did I tell you that when I was playing with the band, we rode from Sheboygan or Wisconsin all the way back to Minneapolis? And Eugenie Baird made me sit next to her so the wolves would leave her alone on the bus. Oh, my God. The greatest 15 hours of my life. Man, I miss him.
Oh, boy, I do too. That and the movie reviews. Boy, yep. The movie reviews. Anyway, okay, it was Georgia Day after all. What was your take of what you heard from Kirby Smart today?
I thought Kirby, he's in a tough situation, and the best thing he can do is say, yes, we have things we have to work on, and when we have to keep teaching the idea of there's speed and then there's excessive speed, and that's when people get hurt. And I don't think it's an issue that the University of Georgia has to deal with. I believe they are dealing with it, but they have to do better. They just have to do better, and I think they will. But it was a tough spot for Kirby because you can't go in there, oh man, we're excited about this football season and all that. Somebody's children died, and so you've got to just go at the proper respectful tone, and we'll see. And by the way, Georgia's going to be really good football this year. So.
Oh, by the way,
so can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
It's not Kirby's fault that those poor children died. Right? It's not like they know every time somebody gets a traffic ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're not telling you. I guarantee you they've had cop after cop come in there and tell these kids.
That's exactly right.
Not to do it. Listen, I was guilty. I'm lucky I never had a serious accident.
Yeah, me too.
But I used when you were teenagers, that's what you did. And you can preach to them. Hopefully they learn from these lessons. Though.
Right.
And these are life lessons, and they're sad and bad. I did. The only thing negative I see is where the new lawsuit where she's saying that, hey, they're not telling the truth.
Right.
That's more concerning to me. But this other stuff, I guarantee you they've had 10 people talk to them about speeding and not speeding. And how do when they get a ticket, they don't have to tell anybody. That's
right.
What do you do about that?
Right. No, it is a real issue, but the pressure is on coaches because with the money they're making, they said, well, if you didn't know this, then you should know this. You should know everything that's going on in your program, and these things should not happen because. And you're right, Wes, is that I can't remember who wrote it, but somebody wrote a column that basically said, the reality is coaches aren't as powerful as we think they used to be, and we think they are because. These young people, they've got their own money, and if they don't like where they are, guess what? They can leave.
Go tomorrow.
And so it's a totally different atmosphere where coaches go, if I bring the hammer down on this guy, I bring the hammer down on these guys, guess what? They're going to be playing somewhere else tomorrow.
Well, that's why when Kirby was in the main room, I wanted to I asked kind of an open-ended recruiting question about the state of recruiting, and he immediately kind of pivoted towards NIL, and it's really not about facilities anymore. It's about NIL.
Right. Well, you talk to any coach, they said, it's the first thing that comes up from the parents or the guardian or whoever's doing the recruiting visit with them. It is the first thing that not the facilities, not the academics, not as I did one time in my career. Bill Dooley, brother of Vince, was at Wake Forest and lost a kid to Clemson because Clemson had a soft ice cream machine and he didn't. True story. Told me that story. And I told Bill Dooley, I said, so you probably put in a soft ice cream machine. He said the very next day.
Had to be an offensive lineman.
That's right.
Soft ice cream is important to offensive lineman.
That's right.
Ultimately, how do you think Georgia stacks up this year?
I get asked that a lot, and the question you have to ask is Georgia talented enough to win another national championship? The answer is unequivocally yes, they are. They're extremely talented. They've recruited at a very high level for a long time under Kirby, and that's how you replace great players with great players who are now hungry to get a chance to play because they couldn't get as much playing time. So, and by the way, have you looked at their schedule?
Yeah.
Okay. The fact of the matter is that trip to Tennessee looms large on November 18th, but the rest of it is manageable. They get South Carolina at home. They get Jacksonville. They get Florida and Jacksonville, and I still don't know about the Gators. I don't think they're going to be very good. And so, Kentucky is going to be a better team. And so I think and you're playing in the division, you'll end up playing Alabama or LSU in the SEC championship game with a chance there. You win that game. And if you're undefeated, you may lose that game and still go. So I think there's a lot out there for Georgia.
There really is, and the East looks like it is set up for Georgia. Mm-hmm. Although Tennessee, how good is Tennessee?
Well, we'll find out when we watch Joe Milton. And here's the thing. Hendon Hooker was the prototypical quarterback for what Josh Heupel likes to do. Can make all the throws. He can throw it deep. He can throw it short. He can throw it with touch. He can do all that. Joe Milton can throw the ball 100 yards. And I said, well, that's great, okay, but I just haven't seen that many 100-yard passes in a college football game. It's about touch. It's about delivering the ball with accuracy. And I don't know. He may be good at that. We just don't know yet. So they got a talented freshman waiting in the wings, and we'll see if he becomes a factor. But Tennessee was so good because their quarterbacks and wide receivers were really, really good. So
yesterday we had Texas A&M, and I was hoping for a little bit of clarity, honestly, of this is how I feel about the Aggies. Didn't get it. Right. If anything, it made me more questioning how this team is going to shape up this year.
Well, bringing in Bobby Petrino, one of two things is going to happen. It's going to be an unqualified success or an unmitigated disaster. It's going to be one. There's no middle ground. And if things start happening that are not good, if you have a bump in the road, which you will eventually are going to have, how do those two men who have not small egos, how do they react? And
I think it's a train wreck. It's an inevitable train wreck somewhere down their track.
Right.
Success or no success.
Well, Texas A&M's got players. Okay.
They do.
They've got players, but they just weren't a very good team, and they didn't look very well coached on offense, to be honest about it. And so, I am anxious. They play Miami, I think, the second week.
That's right.
And that's going to be an interesting thing to look at.
A lot of interesting games the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and
all over the place.
People were getting on the SEC when they didn't go to 9 conference games. But one of the reasons they didn't go to 9 conference games is they looked on their 2024 schedule, and like Georgia's playing Clemson, LSU is playing both USC and UCLA. I mean, there were so many great games in 2024. So we're not going to reschedule all these games. So here's what we do. We stick at 8 for a year, and then we go back to the negotiating table with our friends at ESPN and say, oh, so you want a 9th conference game? Listen, we can help you out with that, okay? See that check, add 2 more zeros on the end of it, and we're good to go.
We're good to go.
Yes.
Yeah. So at Media Days, it makes me think about the Skyriders tour. How different is this?
Well, when I got here, the Skywriters Tour had just disbanded, so I never got a chance to go on the tour, but I've talked to a lot of people who were on it. And the good news about that is that the statute of limitations has run out on most of the stuff that happened on the Writers Tour.
Do I need to call John Pruitt?
Well,
is that what?
I've done one when I was working in North Carolina when I came to Atlanta in '84. So we had an ACC tour where we did it on a bus, and we would hit. And this is before Florida State joined, and then after Florida State joined. You had 9 schools. Took us about 10 days, 2 weeks. And we would just ride to the new place, and we would interview the coaches, and that night we'd have a party and all that kind of stuff. And then we had this great big old Greyhound bus with a great driver, a guy by the name of Garland. And the big buses, there are 2 luggage racks that are right there, and one of them actually had luggage in it, and the other one had beer in it. And so we had more fun doing that, just traveling from place to place. We had a bunch of guys. The longest running bridge game in the history of bridge was going on in the back, and it was great. It was great. But anyway, that's the closest I ever got to the Skywriters Tour is doing that. But I understand it was great. And what was interesting was they did it before there were no laptop computers. There was no internet, and so you had to write your story on a typewriter and drop everybody off by the Western Union office so you could send it back to the newspaper.
And I remember everybody that interviewed us was writing in shorthand.
Oh, yeah.
So, was that a class you took? I mean, how? I mean, he was just – it looked like –
It wasn't official shorthand. It was a sports writer's shorthand that you made up.
It looked like Egyptian. When I was watching them do it, I was
everyone had their own unique language.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Just, it was yeah. So I was at the first – I said this – I was at the first media days they had in Birmingham. I was a player. It was 1986.
Yep.
It was the first year.
They had at the old Sheridan downtown, right?
Sheridan downtown.
Fond memories of that place.
This is a little different here in Nashville.
Well, they've one of the I like Birmingham. Love it, Birmingham. But they treat us different at these new places, and it just gets better and
They're
better.
nice to you. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, they made the announcement when we got here that next year's event will be in Dallas. You could see that one coming from 100 miles away.
Yep.
Because remember they released the schedules for 2024 and said, oh, by the way, everybody in the conference has to play either Oklahoma or Texas, okay? So when they started talking about where the event's going, I wrote somebody in the SEC a note. I said, aren't you getting close to announcing where the next year's event's going to be? And he just wrote me back. Said, stay tuned. Stay tuned. And you go to Dallas. You go to Dallas to get in the Dallas footprint and all the recruiting comes. And I'll bet you that Mr. Jerry Jones is going to be more than nice to his friends from the SEC.
Yes.
I believe that will be fun to follow, as will this season. Is there a team in the middle that you think could jump up this year?
What's interesting about the SEC this year is I think we can all say that Georgia, maybe Tennessee, LSU, Alabama, they're over here, okay? And everybody else represents a very, very deep middle class, and depending on quarterback play, how far they come along. And so I don't think there are any bad teams in this league this year. Everybody's got something going for them. Arkansas had some issues on defense, but they got K.J. Jefferson, and Lane Kiffin's got 97 quarterbacks at Ole Miss. I'm sure he'll pick one that will work out. And Mississippi State's going to be a fascinating story because you got a 4,000-yard passer and you're not going to throw the ball much anymore because you got a defensive guy who's run the show.
So that's what is the story on what offense they're going to run?
I've just heard they're going to slow it down because here's the thing. If you're a defensive coach, you never say this publicly, but if you're a defensive coordinator, you hate those offenses because you got a lot of three and outs, and so I think now that Zach Arnett is the head coach and we missed Mike Leach, it was terrible to lose him, but Zach Arnett's going to say, first of all, we've been really good on defense for a long time now, and we're still going to be good on defense. My job as head coach is to shorten the game keep my defense rested, and give us a chance to win in the fourth quarter. That's my job.
The NCAA is going to help you a little bit with that too.
Yeah, I talked to some officials and stuff about it. They said on the whole, the new rules where the clock, the clock keeps moving even after you get a first down. So it's just not going to have that big an impact. Well, now we'll see.
I disagree.
Okay.
Think about it. You got the ball 5 minutes left. You can throw the ball and be an incomplete pass in the fourth quarter, and it still runs. It changes the game a lot.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It changes the game to me tremendously.
Right.
Because in the last 5 minutes, you got a 8-point lead. You're not going to – in the past, you're not throwing the ball.
Right.
Well, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch the first few weeks of the season, see what
happens.
Impact.
In that.
Yep.
Tony, always appreciate the time, sir.
All right, guys.
Tony,
Appreciate
thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I can sit there and listen to y'all stories about Larry Munson all day.
Gosh. Got a little too many of them for me.
And the last interview I did with Larry for the book, and it got to the point where I would never knock on the door anymore. I just walk in. Georgia was open. This was 2011. Georgia was opening the season at Oklahoma State, which is something unique for an SEC team.
Yeah.
I walked in the door. He didn't say hello. He said, "Where the hell is Oklahoma State?" I said, "Well, still, what is it?" "Well, how the hell do you get there? And if you get there, how do you get back?" So,
oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
We'll be back. We're live here from Radio Row, SEC Media Days 2023.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison
Ann Adams
on
with
Hughes
Berkshire
Road.
Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear. Give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Well, we are back here online as we had some over-the-air issues. We had a powerful line of thunderstorms that passed through the Nashville area about 4 o'clock, and evidently it hit the North Alabama area about 10 minutes ago, and so that's why we are just online on YouTube and a few other places that but we're going to re-rack a couple of interviews that Wes and I have done throughout the day today. It's been a busy day. We're going to start off with the combo that you heard right at the top of the show. That is with T-Bob as well as Aaron Murray, who host a show called Snaps on YouTube. So only appropriate that we play it right now. So evidently, it is not being right now. I am going to take a quick timeout, try to move this over to a place where you can hear Aaron Murray and T-Bob right after this timeout.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison
Ann Adams
on
with
Hughes
Berkshire
Road,
Hathaway
or
Rise Real Estate is the
visit
one name to know if you're buying or
WoodyandersonFord.com.
selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Along with Wes Neighbors, Steve Moulton back here with you, as going to re-rack a conversation Wes and I had with Aaron Murray and T-Bob Hebert earlier today.
Okay, so now we are going to have...
Hey, pull up a chair. Come relax. Pull up a chair.
It's going to go ahead and grab Ryan's chair. It's all good. Yeah, Ryan's not using it. Tell me what it's like to work with T-Bob.
Keeps you on your toes, baby.
Yeah,
I just hope it doesn't, I don't drop an F-bomb during an ESPN game this year from working with him too much. Bad habits. Building bad habits.
It does get a tad loose.
Yeah.
I empowered Aaron to be able to curse. It's the main thing that I've...
I'm a bad person now. My mom unsubscribed from Snaps when she heard me drop an F-bomb.
Did she really? Is that true? Is that a real story?
No.
Oh, God. No.
My mom wears my mom wears a shirt that says, it might... Wearing it, I'm like, this is awkward.
And he has very good-looking parents. So you're talking about... No. Bobby.
Hey.
Bobby.
Yeah, you look a lot like Bobby.
Yeah, I know. The fattest... How that works.
You look good, T-Bob.
I'm just trying to...
Hey, he took his shirt off and jumped in the pool. I was like, Slim T.
I've never been scared of the pool. But
you look good.
Yeah. He did give me a little compliment, make me feel
almost as good as your mom.
Cowboy hat's a little awkward with the headphones on.
It's awkward without the headphones on, I gotta say.
It's not awkward without the headphones on.
Yeah.
I literally feel like my life, I don't know what my life was pre-purchase of this cowboy hat yesterday, but it's different now.
Yesterday.
But it's completely different now.
Before cowboy hat and after
Yes, BCH and ADH. Yes, exactly. And ACH. Exactly.
So you have
What's up,
kids?
Wes? You look good, dude. What's happening with you, bro?
Yeah, I'm hanging in here like a hair in a biscuit, bro.
Hell yeah, bro.
Just trying to keep it all together, right?
Let's steal that one.
These are my boys, dude. Now, they're classic Alabama roll
He's a Georgia guy.
homers, but they're my boys, dude.
He's a Georgia guy.
Is that right, Steve? I never knew that. What are you talking about?
Tucker High School. Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
He's a Georgia boy deep down inside.
Oh, yeah. JC.
Yeah.
We got yeah, there we go, dog.
Yeah.
Wes was the only one dumb enough to grow up in Alabama, I guess.
Is that what it was?
What's up, boys? How's it going? How's everything going, man? How's media week going so far?
Well, so far so good.
Yeah.
But maybe I know it's fairly early in the week, but any big takeaways for you two?
Yeah, you know what? Today I thought Brock Bowers was Carson Beck, so that was pretty surprising.
He's trying to give Carson crap. He's like, God, Carson's got no swag compared to Sets. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, Carson has like a sleeve, leg tattoos. Like, my man's like a little superstar guy.
But here's the deal.
He's like, he's balding. I was like, that's Brock Bowers.
Let's be honest, though. We don't actually know what these kids look like.
6'4", 230.
Well, I didn't see him in person. I saw a picture. I'm talking about
Brock or something.
Brock.
Yeah, but Brock doesn't look.
He does not look.
Brock is not. He doesn't look 6'4" either. Really.
So he was standing next to Van Preen, who's what, like a giant?
He's like 6'4". No, he's only like 6'4", 6'5" too.
6'4", 310.
Okay. Either way, the point is, I think the dirty truth is, we don't really know what these cats look like.
No.
A lot of us. I couldn't even. Now, I'm probably on the worst end of the spectrum. I couldn't even pick out. We played a game on our show the other day.
Can't even pick out Jaden.
I couldn't even pick out John Emery. I get Jaden. You can get the quarterbacks. You can always get the quarterbacks normally.
Carson Beck is a quarterback.
Yeah,
you couldn't get him.
Carson Beck is irrelevant. He's been irrelevant his entire career.
Brock Bowers is the best athlete in America.
Yeah, I probably should have known Brock Bowers.
That guy's good.
That's on me. No, he is good. Put him in a uniform. I can point it out. I can tell you who he is.
Yeah, because it says Bowers on the back. That's why.
And his number. Right?
Okay.
You take one or the other over here. He's lost.
You ever seen the You documentary on ESPN back in the day?
The what now?
The You.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, of course, right? Well, in that documentary, old boy talks about taking his helmet off after he scored a touchdown. He's like, man, basketball players, you get to see their faces. Baseball players, like, we're always hidden. I'm trying to get some shine. Football players are fundamentally hidden.
Yep.
I would love to put the media, to blind test the media, no prep time, and see how many, if you put all the Baker players' names from SEC Media Days and then pictures of them, how many you can match up.
I would do pretty good. I don't know if I do very well.
I would do terrible.
I can't even name them.
Beyond awful. I think I would get 6.
I don't know. I feel like this year too, there's some guys I'm like, who is that on the list too? They didn't bring a lot of superstars. I'm like, wait, who is so and so bringing?
Tackle walking around looked like he's wearing last year's suit. Didn't fit.
That was a Mississippi State guy.
No, it wasn't. His Auburn guy.
I got a question. Because you're in finance, right?
Right.
So I imagine you wear suits.
Not very much anymore.
I'm about to say, how do you got to get a custom tailor suit? You can't get a suit off the rack. There's no way. That concrete block of a body, dude. Feel his hands. Look at his forearms, bro. He's just solid. He's just a solid granite rock. There's no way. You got to get a custom suit, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel you, bro.
So 2 weeks ago, entitled, I watched a little bit of this, Why Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M Can't Contend in the SEC. From yesterday, do you change any of that opinion?
I think they could contend. I think they got to think there's only so many teams.
Three in the West, right?
You have to have the players first. You can't just have elite coaching and crap players. They got the half of it. They got the players. Now it's a matter of can they figure out, I'm not saying they don't have the coaches, can they figure out the offense? Can Jimbo just take a step back and evolve? And I'll say this, I talked to David Green, I told him this yesterday, talked to David Green, great Georgia quarterback.
Yeah.
I always thought Bobo was the OC. He's just salty because they beat LSU. I always thought Bobo was the OC. He's like, no, Rick was the OC. And then Rick 10 years later came and, we were talking at some function. Rick's like, I had to end up giving up the play calling duties when you left because I couldn't evolve in the offseason with the new trends of football. There's too many responsibilities for coaches nowadays, especially head coaches. You can't evolve your offense when you have to do a million things in the offseason. You need to give the play calling duties over, and that's why Rick gave it to Bobo, and a lot of these play callers, Eli's giving it over too. Very few guys can do both. And I think Jimbo's at a point right now where he just too many responsibilities. Give it up. There's nothing wrong with that. And if he can give it up, he'll enjoy life more. He'll be less stressed. Let those guys go evolve on offense. And I think they got the players to do it. They got the quarterback. They got the receivers.
Here's the deal with A&M is that I don't know what their ceiling is. Like, I don't think they're going to be as good as Alabama and LSU, but
they got players that they could.
They got quarterback. They got the quarterback. They got the receivers.
But I agree. But I would guarantee that they're not going to be as bad as last year. We talked about this on Snaps yesterday.
Yeah.
That was if you do an autopsy of how did this beautiful, young, healthy male die out of nowhere, that was A&M last year, right? They had all the abs, they had a full head of hair, but also like 3 different quarterbacks, young offensive line, hurt offensive line, like bad scheme and philosophy.
Yes.
So like, it's
but now you have better.
Understand.
What was it like? Why are we concerned with Alabama? Well, we don't believe in any of their quarterbacks. I don't care which one you pick. I don't believe in, and I can't buy into their receivers just yet either. A&M, I think Connor's really good.
Yeah.
I think their receivers are really good. I think the offensive line has a chance to be really good. Alabama, everyone's raving about their offensive line. I think that's still a question mark. I feel like Alabama has more question marks than A&M does offensively.
Alabama's offensive line been subpar, or
I'll tell you what.
Relative to their
which offense has less question marks right now? Right now, heading into the season, which offense has more less questions?
I think Alabama has twice as much talent as Texas A&M
on offense.
And I've watched the quarterbacks, and I'll disagree with you. I think they have 4 good quarterbacks.
See, so this is what worries me. This is what worries me about Alabama.
Have you been to a scrimmage?
I think Ty's good.
Ty could be great.
I think Ty's good.
His problem is leadership. He doesn't have any leadership. Yep. He doesn't. He's not committed.
I don't believe in Milroe.
Milroe has a lot of. He does a lot of good stuff. He does a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he did beat Texas A&M with 4 turnovers.
He's got a raw physical skill set that is.
You can't turn the ball over. You can't turn the ball over.
They got 2 freshmen that are really good.
Here's what worries me.
Some good quarterbacks.
But they're not going to play. Those guys aren't going to play this year, though. I don't care about the future. I'm talking about this year.
I know.
You're going to trust freshmen?
Look, I know.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I know that y'all expect me to come on here and just be tearing down Alabama and everything.
I'll be disappointed if you don't.
Last 4 years, 2-2. LSU wins the West last year. Like, quite frankly, you're just not worth the effort anymore. And in fact, I think I'm kind of bullish on Bama, where others are not.
Well, they're going to be good.
Because the deal is, like, people see Saban talking after spring about how, like, the quarterbacks had asked themselves, are we doing what the team needs? And they're bringing in Tyler Buckner, and they're using these pieces of evidence to be like, oh my God, the quarterback room is a disaster. I don't buy that it's going to maybe it's not, it's not going to be Bryce Young.
No.
But relative to other teams, it's not going to be a disaster. And it doesn't even mean that it's bad. Like, to me, Saban bringing in Buckner, Saban saying that is just trying to maximize the pressure on the room.
They're in the bottom half of the SEC when it comes to quarterbacks heading into the season.
Oh, that's the
I'm just saying. That's all I can take into account right now.
He's still mad because he was on the 9. It's a guy.
I know, Conley. Just knock it down. And honestly, no. It's not Conley's fault. Gurley was supposed to cut Moses.
Yeah.
And he doesn't cut him, and that's why he's in my face and can tip it.
Bring up the SEC championship.
That's what all Alabama. Anytime I say anything negative about an Alabama team, that they had that in their pocket. Oh, it's because of 2012. Aaron's so salty. It's like, can we get something new? Georgia, we've got the monkey off our back. We finally beat you guys. Thank goodness we can finally move on.
I get 21 here all the time.
Hey, but we got the latest one though.
That's a big count.
Yeah. The one that matters. Yeah, you would know that. I mean, y'all split with us, but I guess you win the Natty because it happened later in the year.
What do you?
No, it's 9-6. I'm sorry, ass. Your son was on the team, and you still cheered against him.
I want to know, where are the receivers at?
Both teams.
That's wrong. You have a son on
each team.
That's true. That is fair.
To me, the receivers got to be better.
The receivers have to be.
They got to be better.
Yeah. Look, there is a junior college.
Dude, Aaron said that from day 1 last last year. Last year, there's that 17 busts against their weapons LSU. were not going to be good enough.
17
busts.
I like Kobe. I think Kobe has a chance to emerge. He's the one that jumped off the early on the season like this. Kobe's kid got some talent.
Yeah, there's a junior college guy that's really good. He's going to be. I think he'll be a difference maker.
Yep.
But you're all bring up good points. But you asked me, somebody did, what the difference was. Team Snaps is attacking you. Do what now? Team Snaps is attacking you. Yeah, that's fine. I'm used to it. You always attack me. That's true. So, the problem with the offense, the difference between Georgia beating the dog out of LSU this year and Alabama not beating the dog out of LSU this year, y'all had the ball 5 times. Your offensive line comes off the ball, knocks people back, right? Alabama had the ball 5 times in the red zone against LSU, 12 points. So what's wrong with the O-line? It's the technique. So that's on the coach
too high.
Yeah, I think so. It has to.
Are they going to be better this year, though?
Who's the O-line coach right now? They should be better. I think this is Kentucky's old offensive line coach from 2 years ago. Because they were great when they had Marone. Yeah. Was Marone previous to this new guy? Yes. The best offensive who had the best offensive line in the NFL last year? In your opinion?
It's
easy.
I don't watch NFL.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Alabama's old offensive line coach. That's fair. But they also got Jason Kelsey and that big giant New Zealander.
They got Lane Johnson too. They got some studs.
But that's not it. They come off the damn ball.
Yeah.
You know, they come off the ball on 4th and 1. They're 3rd and 1 this year. You know how many times?
But it's an offensive mentality, though. Alabama's offensive mentality is different than Georgia's. Georgia has been more. We want to dominate. We want to run. Exactly. Alabama's got a little soft with the offense.
Soft, Wes. They need to get your ass back in there. Show some Bear Bryant film. We didn't even drink water. And you have a barber shop? Get the hell out of here. I used to smoke cigarettes in between plays, damn it. No, yeah. I never got knocked off the ball. Listen, our offensive line coach in Alabama always had a cigarette in his hand.
This is what I work with every day. He
had a cigarette in his hand the whole time. When we'd come off the field, he'd have to put a cigarette on the chalkboard.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
To hide it.
It's the difference. Lane Kiffin made y'all soft.
When men were men. I think we won a championship or 2 in there.
That's true. You guys did. You did.
I would not call that defensive line they had then soft.
God, no.
The Jonathan Allen year was the best defensive line of ever seen. It was 9. It was 3 deep, like 9 players, like all NFL guys.
Was that murder death ball? Is what?
Yes. Yeah. That was just joyless murder ball.
I wonder how many 5-stars at defensive end this year for Alabama. I heard that's an outrageous number.
Yeah, they have 3 or 4. Well, that's the thing about Alabama. So to go back to why I'm a bit worried about y'all. I think there's an objective case that you're bringing up good points, but to say that the quarterbacks are that's been overdone. No, what I'm saying is
I agree. Ty is so. I'll say I had the LSU spring game, so I witnessed with T-Bob. I was there. I was covering for ESPN. An incredible spring game. They look really good. Jaden looked amazing. The receiver.
They had a great coach.
I get on the plane.
He's awesome.
I get on the plane. There's no TVs or whatever, but I'm getting all these Twitter alerts like, oh my God, these Alabama quarterbacks. And I'm like, golly, they must look like crap. I get home, I watch it. I'm like, I thought Ty looked fine.
Yeah.
I was like, it was way over. It was way overblown
on the first play.
Ty. Ty was way overblown. Yeah. I've heard nothing but good about him. I'm concerned more about Milroe and the turnovers.
Here's the thing. That's legit, but
Buckner ain't the answer.
I don't know.
Tyler ain't the answer.
I don't know if he's there to help.
He's there if
push somebody.
No, I think he's there if Ty craps the bed versus Texas. Maybe you throw him in.
That's insurance.
If Texas comes in Tuscaloosa and Alabama can't score versus a good Texas defense,
it's a pretty good defense.
It's a good defense. Then I think you think about Buckner week 3.
Without Bryce Young, they'd been shut down last year in that Texas game. Texas was whooping that O-line.
They don't come off the ball.
Just saying. That's why he's brought in.
T-Bob, you stand straight up on 4th and 31.
I would never. No. Obviously, I'm a man.
Yeah.
I have 2 nuts between my legs.
Yeah.
I got thick, milky thighs that all the women envy. Wait, how about, okay, so here's the other thing. So if Alabama gets a quarterback, then immediately they're awesome, obviously.
No, they're going to be good because they're going to be able to run the ball. They have some really good, 5 good runners.
But the thing that I get worried about, not for Alabama, that worries me about having to face Nick Saban in Alabama this year, I cannot remember a year in which Nick Saban had so much legitimate bulletin board material. This is a man who used to decry his battle against rat poison. Like he used to have to go toe-to-toe with praise, and now he can sit there and say, this guy thinks you suck. Snap says you're going to lose 3 games. They're picking LSU to win the West. Like, he has never had this much legitimate ammo to work with in years, it feels like.
Yeah, to me though, and you're right, but to me, the secret to this deal, will they have the leadership? Will they have who's going to be the leader? They have.
But you had it last year, huh? I mean, Bryce Young was that leader, or no?
Well, here's what happened last year, and it's excuses. So Coach Bryant used to say, the game never changes; only the excuses do.
Oh, I like that.
The same things win that have always won.
Yeah, in the trenches. That's what Aaron was talking about the other day with Georgia.
So they're excuses. So when the quarterback got hurt, they didn't throw the ball. He did not throw the ball practice at one time until after the LSU game. Not one time. Bryce Young.
Oh, wow.
So you have no timing. Those are all young receivers. They're not, and there's a problem, though, still, that they're not in the right spot. They're blown. If you remember.
You can see that. You can see Bryce not like.
But he doesn't trust LSU. He'd back up the pass. They were doing a good job protecting him early. Didn't do as good later in the game. And he's sitting here looking, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, shit. Where's that guy?
That was the biggest, and that's interesting to hear you say that timing was a part of it. So I remember even after the game, I was like, I don't think I understand defensive scheme well enough to know exactly what was going on, but I've never seen Bryce Young look so discombobulated when he hit his back foot.
Because he knows the read. The guy knows where to go with the ball like that, and he looks, and there's nobody there.
Yeah. So, okay, so you think it's going to change this year, though, with the weapons?
I think it will. I don't think it'll be quite as much because it'll be simplified.
Yes.
And they're going to have to be better offensively on the offensive line for them to win a championship.
They're older receiver.
Not talking about going.
They're older receiver, too. They're more experienced. I think those guys should be better.
The junior college guys could be the real deal. We'll see. He came in the spring. He looked really good.
I'll say this: the computers love Alabama. For all the human prognosticators that are sitting here, like they're like.
That's because they have a bunch of 5-star guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
Are we guilty of being stupid? Then they have a bunch of 5-star guys. That's what
we've been tricked by 4.
I mean, kind of. We've been tricked when it was Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M, 3 different quarterbacks, bad offensive line. Nick Saban is not that.
They better be this
coordinators.
The team, Alabama needs to look like 2010 to 2013 Alabama.
Kevin Steele's a wet fart hire,
I think what now? Excuse me.
Kevin Steele's a wet fart hire, dude. Come on. Wow. Tommy Reese is young and sexy. Kevin Steele.
I think Kevin Steele's what Alabama needs. Because they're not defensively last year. They didn't have that edge. Defensive lineman was just kicked off Alabama's team. They didn't trust him. He was second team. You go to the scrimmages, everybody had trouble blocking him. LSU had trouble blocking him during the game, but he'd go the wrong way, like on the big play.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah. So they didn't really trust him, but he had a lot of talent. Yeah. That's the most different. That's what I'm looking to see for Alabama to be at the level that they're used to is the defensive lineman. And that's been the big difference maker in a lot of the games.
I mean, that's how Saban built it at LSU. Yeah. Those D-lines are still the best D-lines LSU ever had, with Chad Lavallee, Glenn Dorsey, Marcus Spears, Claude Rote, and all that crew. Mike Bobo's a wet fart hire too, bro. Yeah, I mean, both just garbage reruns. Get out of here, dude. Come on.
Georgia's a better chance to be the best offense in the SEC compared to Alabama being the best defense.
Wait, what'd you say?
Yeah.
You think Georgia has a better chance of being the best offense in the SEC than Alabama's best defense?
Yes.
Who is going to be the best defense in the SEC?
I don't think it'll be
Georgia. Because their schedule sucks. They don't have the best stats.
That's true.
Who's going to score points on Georgia? Tennessee. They got Tennessee wrapped up the past years. They know it's not that offense. There's not offense that's going to score at them.
You got to put an asterisk by all UJ stats this year because they're just padding.
Well, Ryan Fowler told us that Georgia's in the AAC this year.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron tried to tell me the other day that their schedule's not that bad. Georgia's just that good.
It's an SEC schedule. It's not that much better.
Easiest version of SEC schedules.
Your senior year.
We opened with Oregon, top 5 matchup.
They had Oklahoma. Don't blame them. They didn't screw up Oklahoma.
Hold on. We opened up with Oregon, top 5 matchup.
Yeah.
We had West Virginia, who ended up winning the Orange Bowl. Beat the hell out of them too.
Yeah.
We had, and I think that might have been it for the Power Fives. But it ended up that year because Oregon won the Rose Bowl. We'd be the Rose Bowl champions. We'd be the
Honey Badger went off
Orange
in the
Bowl
West
champions.
Virginia
We'd be the Sugar Bowl champions. Oh no, we didn't. We did. Yeah, I mean, because obviously Alabama. Yeah. So basically, we beat all the BCS champs, but didn't end up as champs.
Yeah. So who were your senior year? Who were your non-conference?
Clemson.
Okay, respect.
First game of the season, Clemson.
Hell yeah.
We remember we played Boise my sophomore year, first game of Chick-fil-A. I was with Kellen Mond.
Yeah, y'all got beat that game.
We did. Kellen Mond, baby. 5-0 versus Power 5 teams. One of them.
Kellen Mond is a top 10 quarterback easily in all of college football since the 2000s. 50-3 as a starter.
And 5 games in the Power 5.
Suck it, nerd.
He's in an elite team in the group of 5.
My senior year, non-conference. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State.
Okay, that's pretty sick.
Penn State won that.
Exactly. When men were men.
That's right.
Smoking Joes and had big hanging nuts between their legs. That's what we're talking about, man. Times have changed. Football's
I guarantee you,
football's gone woke, damn it. Oh, come on. Crap.
Finally, T-Bob, how confident are you in LSU ultimately making it to Atlanta?
Don't be soft, T-Bob. Just say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, T.
I've been burned. I've just been burned in the past. I think.
Say it with your hat on.
I think objectively. I think objectively, LSU should win the West. I think they have the best starters. Now, we've talked about this. Top to bottom depth, I think Alabama has the advantage. So a couple injuries, things go sideways. But I like LSU's schedule. It is relatively friendly. I know Florida State's a tough matchup to start, but that could be a launching pad, right? Like, you go handle your business against Florida State, you can feel pretty damn good about yourself. You carry that forward.
That might be
Florida State's really good.
They got a really good coach.
They got a hell of a defense back. They got a quarterback. They got a receiver. They got a tight end. They got an offensive line back.
Bro, they got the number 1 returning production in the country.
They're going to be good, man.
I think Michigan's maybe 5th. So I think.
So y'all are. Georgia plays what high school the first game?
I don't even know. No, the first game I know Georgia plays week 3 for South Carolina is when I'll start tuning into Georgia football. Week 3 is when I'll tune in to watch Georgia football.
Georgia takes on the Skyhawks of UT Martin.
Let's go. I can't wait to start the Carson Beck for Heisman campaign after week 1 when he throws 6 touchdowns.
Georgia State's pretty good now. You should play Georgia State.
Can I gamble in Tennessee?
Yes.
Can I finally put my Carson Beck bet in?
You can finally put your Carson Beck bet in. He's mad.
I sent him a bet 2 months ago. I was like, I need money on Carson Beck to win the Heisman. When it was like plus 3,000. Still hasn't done it because he can bet in Louisiana. I can't bet in Georgia. Yeah. I think it's at plus 2,000 now, so he cost me some money.
He lost the juice, dude. Should have had a more responsible bookie. I don't know. It's bad judgment for a quarterback, dude. Come on.
Hey, Aaron, it's called the internet. You're okay.
No.
I can't gamble in Georgia.
No, not even with the VPN.
No, you can't with a VPN.
They got a lot of money.
Welcome to Tennessee.
Are you doing it? Doing it? That's what I'm saying. Don't be so sure. If you got an actual bookie,
I'm not trying to get someone knocking on my door, taking me off in handcuffs.
No.
I wish I could rely on my handy dandy co-host to put a simple bet in for me.
It's not like you're going to get in trouble. I'm just saying they actually have good tech blocking that. Like I know a bunch of guys that tried to work around.
You guys in Alabama should know about illegal gambling from coaches.
Wow.
They got good tech that can see text messages from I ain't gonna risk
it. We all take driver's ed in Alabama.
Bert Neff.
We don't at Georgia.
I understand that.
Bert Neff.
Oh my goodness.
Who's the bigger idiot? Who's the bigger idiot? Bohannon or Neff? I mean, Neff's a complete idiot, but what is Bohannon doing, dude?
Oh my
is he
God.
dumb?
Yes.
He has a Wake Forest MBA.
Let me tell you something. You talk about a lot of got a lot of people that I'm related to and that are friends of mine that are close to the program.
Yeah.
They will tell you Bohannon was the nicest guy of anybody there.
Bad teeth, though.
Bad teeth. God bless.
The guy with that
He's
smile,
from West Virginia.
That's why.
That kind of checks out. Yeah.
There's somebody else from West Virginia in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. It's true. He has
He's
great
pretty
teeth.
good, yeah. Well, you make $10 million a year. The teeth
that's
aren't the problem anymore.
Yeah, but he ain't like he ain't making money though.
No, I think he makes more out of his dealerships now.
No, I'm talking about same. I'm talking about the big Bohannon.
Bohannon was making 500, but
still pretty. I'll take it.
But no,
Good
it's
baseball coach.
It's the stupidest thing you've ever heard.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Oh my God.
You know what's not the stupidest thing? LSU national champs, baby, baseball boys. James,
baseball.
How about it?
That was awesome. What about the SEC winning every year?
Yeah, I know. 4 different teams, 4 years.
Are you surprised though?
You'll never see that.
Surprised.
I'm not surprised at baseball.
Because
But what's surprising is that the 2 previous champs
were so bad.
they were 13th and 14th. Then he makes the SEC.
I know. It's unreal. It's unreal. The thing about baseball is it's already the sport where they never give out full scholarships. They don't have all the money, right? So, like, now emotional buy-in in baseball more than any other becomes, like, immediate economic impact. So the SEC is just going to juice up.
But LSU has to be giving NIL to their baseball.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because now in the age of NIL, if you care, if your fan base cares,
you can pay scholarships.
Put money in it.
Yeah.
So you can give scholarships. You can make money on top of scholarships. No, and Baton Rouge people are obsessed with college baseball because of Skip Bertman in the 90s. But all the SEC is. I mean, Tennessee's. I love SEC baseball. I love SEC football, too. Can't wait to beat y'all's ass again there. That's going to be great. Boys, you realize LSU wins, that's 3 of 5.
November 4th, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, if Alabama wins, it's 3 of 5 for them too, right? So just throwing it out there. It works both ways.
It's more like 12 and 5.
A little bit more, actually.
I suffered through like 8 in a row. I suffered through like 8 or 9.
I'm actually hoping Alabama wins so we can start getting it a little bit more even by beating them in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
We need to start chipping away at that Alabama-Georgia record over the past decade.
You're too old to get there.
Yeah, but we got to start somewhere. Give us another 10 years. We'll close that gap.
When's the next episode of Snaps dropping?
Well, hopefully soon.
Other than this here.
We've been recording at the pool.
What does Snaps stand for?
Like center Q, like snapping the ball. Like old CQ exchange, dude.
Was that Auburn nose guard? What was his name? It's not in front of you. It's a good deal.
I don't know.
Auburn nose guard. What was his name?
Oh, Nick Fairley?
Nick Fairley, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
It's the second joke that Alabama people have. 2012 and then Nick Fairley. These are the first 1-2. The 1-2 punch.
I was at the game.
What is funny is
I almost cussed like we're on Snap. I had to control myself.
I think you just did.
No, I refrained. I'm in so much trouble this year in ESPN.
He beat my ass too, so that is true. Nick Fairley actually owns Team Snaps.
But
he owns everyone.
Your guard screwed you on that play.
Everybody got you. But no, Fairley went down the line, though, and, like, I've never seen it. He embarrassed the guard, then he embarrassed me, then he embarrassed our center, then the other guard. Like,
dude, we had Clint Bowling.
Bowling's a beast. He played in
Ben Jones.
Yes, yeah.
Who was my left tackle? Was the big giant played for the Bills? Why am I drawing a blank right now?
Fairley was getting it going too,
and he was whooping everyone's butt. That dude, he was a freak.
No, Fairley was getting it going in the NFL too with the Saints, but then he had that heart thing.
Yeah. Hey, I remember we sent in tape.
He was with the Saints
to the SEC saying, because I remember we sent in tape from LSU when he was just nasty with your quarterback. We're like, man, this guy is nasty. You need to watch out for this. They didn't call a damn penalty on him to the fourth quarter.
I've never had this happen. I was running down the field and he just, and I kind of appreciate this because this is the type of stuff I do, so I like it. But he just jacked me in the back. There were no refs around. No, they were like jogging behind the play, and I'm talking. It felt like I just got hit in a truck. Like,
did you see what he did to my back?
Face planting in the ground. I'm like, what?
Did you see what he did to my back?
He touched you.
You didn't see what he did to my back?
I saw him like slam you, but no, it was just.
I threw the football, and I'm standing there, and at least 3 seconds went by, and all of a sudden he spears me in the back, and I look like this. I'm like,
yeah, that's how it felt, dude.
And actually, that one felt good because he broke every bone in my back. I was like, ooh, that felt good.
Even though one thing he did do is he was kind of a little, and I think that's why it took him a little bit for it to catch on the NFL before his heart thing. But like, he was kind of a little lazy play, right? For 2 plays, it'd be like, okay, I'm fine. But when he wanted to turn it on, you just couldn't.
Those are the worst ones, too.
The worst ones, dude, because you get a false sense of confidence.
Yeah, the music's coming on. It's like the microphone's being picked up.
Yeah, this is actually live right now as we welcome you in.
I gotta go get workout.
Of SEC Media Days.
All right, boys.
See you, boys.
Hey, youtube.com/@volumesnaps. YouTube.com/@volumesnaps. Holla, y'all.